Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, my precious pack, and welcome back once more, and welcome to a concept idea by Toxicbait. The concept idea also includes suggestions from the pack as well, so a few more voices are being heard, and this entire idea behind this is around Civil War 2.0, bringing back Civil War in a new way. The idea laid out by Toxicbait is one to revive the Civil Wars of old with a new system in place to encourage some good old PvP fun, but with some rewards that are actually worth your time outside of PvP. So expect more than just Marauder related tech and ships to show up as rewards for advancing. Now, where to start with this one? Well, let's begin with where it will be held, that being within the Marauder Sector. The choice of the Marauder Sector is one of sense, as it is where PvP is permitted and should by all means be encouraged. Well, for those of you that are worried about repair times with this idea, Toxic was clearly worried as well, and his suggestions regarding that was one to encourage prolonged play times during the Civil War. His suggestion was to completely remove repair times on a fleet that was damaged or destroyed within the Marauder Sector, which also limits out of sector farming for free repairs for the duration of the event. Along with the repair times being essentially non-existent, you will also get a 2x payout for your first PvP victory fight each day that a Civil War runs for. That reminds me of World of Tanks. I wonder if he was by chance inspired by it, and I'm referring to the 2x XP for each victory on a tank for the first victory. Limitations would be next for us to discuss, so let's continue on with what fleets would be allowed to participate. Any tech that is over level 80 is what Toxic has suggested for this idea, though I would actually add a limit similar to the gating of old to prevent OP tech from dominating such an event. Second, to prevent allied spamming during this event, players would not be able to attack their own alliance members or coalition members. Third, hitting the same player more than once will degrade their overall fleet points value for you. If you attack the same player enough, you will no longer be permitted to gain points from any of their fleets for the next 24 hours. I think that is a good idea, but I would change the 24-hour lockdown to an 8-hour or 12-hour lockdown. The fourth restriction Toxic has suggested was to only allow fleets at full health to enter the Marauder Sector for the duration of the event as well, which in turn does partially make sense. Now, this is where the event's revival suggestion begins to take a complex turn. There will be two modes within the Civil War, one being Classic Mode and the other being Legacy Mode. Classic Mode is what you all expect of PvP as it is now, so fleet commanders and mainly high-level PvP that ends in seconds upon the fight beginning, such as ship being one-shot or something like that it's not all that enjoyable. Well, it is actually limited to fleets of level 80 and above for the Classic Mode. And it's actually interesting when you think about it, because it would encourage players to use the high-level fleets more often as well, because free repair time. The only thing you'd have to worry about is resources. Speaking of resources, and the store for Classic Mode is mainly focused on build time tokens, uniquely themed ships or skins, along with a little dab of resources along the way. Have a look at this video's description for more information on that portion of his suggestion. I'll just copy and paste exactly those types so you can see it. Now, let's go ahead and let's have a look at Legacy Mode and what Legacy Mode has to offer. PvP of old is the style of this mode. So, the focus of Legacy Mode is lower level PvP without fleet commanders. The suggestion is that fleets under level 80 will be what makes up Legacy Mode. However, there is more to it than that. Axis and below is the suggestion, but I think it should be only Demon Corn below for Legacy Mode, because Xeno and above is where you start introducing different damage types that were not among the three typical that we would see using the tiers below them. So leaving them out is my suggestion for that portion. And leaving Xeno and above out for the higher level gameplay was also part of the portion, and it's just a thought that leave them in the higher tiers where they would belong, or in the portion of their own tier where they would be able to fight, using PvP gating. The store, on the other hand, is actually focused mostly around pre-fitted ships, and an example given is 2 Mark V Axis ships of an unnamed classification. Now, all of the above is nice, and naturally I had my own thoughts to put in with the idea, and I still have a few more. My first suggestion was to do away with the traditional store that we have known in the game thus far and replace it with something more akin to the Rads of old, but with a modernized and more open for all involved feel. So instead of being forced to choose one item or another, you would instead unlock items automatically the further you progress by gathering intel from PvP fights. My suggestion was to also remove the leaderboard and add coins and blood amber to the final levels of unlockables, though I would expect them to be difficult to achieve. But ultimately, the idea is to make you feel like the more you fight in advance, the more you'd be rewarded for your time and effort invested. But that's going to be it for this video, everybody. Go ahead and let's get some discussions going on in the comment section below, and I'm sure you'll find Toxic lurking around to help answer some questions about his idea as well. But that's going to be it, everybody. Be safe out in the void, happy hunting, and as always, I'll see you in the next video.